From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Bullhorn Betty is here. It's nice to see everyone. We are talking about Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is the 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been heard or seen from since. We have been covering this case from the beginning. Sorry, we got a lot of other news in the, and I'm pulling my camera out, or my computer out. But we have a lot of information that we have put out about this case from the beginning since we came aboard and started monitoring this case and reporting on this case. And a lot of the information that we've been going over has not looked good for Katie and Chris Proudfoot. This is the mother and the stepfather of Sebastian Rogers. And of course, there was a lot of phenomenons out there that happened, likewise inside the house and outside the house. The early morning hours that this child disappeared from his home, it's good to see everyone. Hey, happy Saturday to all the beautiful people that are coming in here. Spud, Kathleen, Graham, Janine, it's nice to see you. Rose, Heather, Ma, ESL, Donna, Grace upon Grace. Ooh, I like that. SPED teacher. I hope nobody was being mean to you over on YouTube. I saw a comment and I'm like, nobody better be being mean to, our teacher. It was a little problematic, but ignore them. I know everybody tells me to do the same thing. It's hard sometimes. Good morning. How's your new baby? Oh, she's playing right. She doesn't go too far away from me. I walk, she walks. She wants to be everywhere I'm at. So if she's not right next to me, she starts crying. So we got her right next to me. It's nice to see you all this beautiful morning. It's great to have you, buddy. It's nice to see you. Rob, it's nice to see you. So what we've got going on here is Sebastian, for those that are new to this case, which I doubt very many of you guys are new to this case, Sebastian Rogers has been going on since February. He disappeared from his locked home where he was residing for the evening with his mother and his mother alone. And then all of a sudden he disappears. Now, there are some oddities when it comes to this case, some major oddities when it comes to this case. For example, February 26th seems to be a very notable date, okay? It is our understanding through pulling public records that Katie Proudfoot actually divorced Seth Rogers, or started the proceedings for divorce of Seth Rogers on February 26, 2016. Was it 2016? It was exactly 8 years to the day when Sebastian disappeared. Another oddity when it comes to the date of February 26, we've learned now, again, we can't confirm because it's dealing with the Department of Children and Family Services, But, oh, thank you guys. But we learned that CPS was at their house on January 26, 2024, which is exactly, like, what, 30 days from the time he disappeared? So we have some oddities when it comes to this February 26th date that is very notable and very concerning. And one of those is the fact that when I talked to Seth, you know, he didn't even realize what day or, you know, paid attention to what day she actually filed her paperwork. But I had an opportunity to speak to Seth directly. And when I was in Tennessee, give me just a second, I'm trying to plug in the phone. There we go. When I was in Tennessee, and I asked him, you know, how long were you and Katie married for? And he told me 8 years. And that's kind of when my heart kind of fell into my stomach, because, you know, I think that that is very notable that Chris and Seth were married 8 years, and it was exactly 8 years to the day that she filed for divorce. From the day that, for my receipts, the receipts are the court records. They are out there. You can go over there on Facebook and look at them yourself. You can reach out to the county in which they are in, and you can order them yourself, because there's no point in me giving them to you, right? You need to go find your receipts yourself. I can tell you exactly where they are and where you can go get them, and you should find them yourself, because then you can't say that they were manipulated or anything like that. So where you'd find those records, exactly, Franklin's mama, is court records, and they are public records. So what you do is you go to the county in which she filed the divorce in, and you look her name up or look Seth's name up, or you reach out to the clerk of courts and ask them for the paperwork personally, and they will email. They may charge you a fee to do that, and it's a small fee, but you can order them, and you know you got it right from the mouth of babes, right? You don't have to worry about them being manipulated. You don't have to worry about them coming from a content creator. You can go directly to it and order them yourself. There's your receipts. Because I've got it. I don't know who you don't know who I work. Well, I could care less who you work for, Crane Life. Doesn't matter to me. I could care less. If you work for somebody that has access to this stuff, then you should have the receipts yourself, instead of being in my chat acting like, oh, no, you. Okay, I'm about to say, because that's how you get those receipts. Just to let FYI, that's how you would get those receipts. The receipts are in public record, and I'd prefer everybody pulling it from okay, I appreciate it, because you don't understand. Maybe you do. You see what goes on here on these streets. But pull the public records yourself. That's really the name of the game, because then you don't have to worry. And don't take out here in this day and age. We can't just take people's receipts, right? We have to find them ourselves. We have to find them. No, let's let if people have statements, just let them have their statements. I'll correct them if I see them, and they can go and look for this stuff themselves. You know, it's not really that big of a deal. So, long story short is, when I found that out, he said 8 years, and it was just 8 years. I just thought that was an awful, interesting coincidence, because if Katie decided to do something maybe on a premeditated level, I would think she would make it a notable date. But would it be a notable date so much so that she just didn't know, or maybe she didn't think anybody would find out, or what? You know, a lot of people say that him going out that day was, you know, one of the things that people were saying, and I know you guys heard it out the gate, was that he had an eventful day, and people felt like it was his, you know, like she was like the Last Supper, so to speak. They went out and had this amazing day, got to see all the family, got to do all these things, got to have a nice dinner, and then he was gone. Most people that have autistic children or children on the spectrum say that that day was definitely considered overstimulating. I spoke to Seth and asked him, and he thought the day was overstimulating. Normally when I hear overstimulating, I'm thinking of my, you know, like us, if we had anxiety, going out and working out would help reduce some of that anxiety and wear our body down so we can rest, right? So a lot of people exercise for the health benefits that the exercise provides. And so I think of something like that, and I think, oh, well, he must have conked out. But that's totally opposite of the reality when it comes to children on the spectrum or autism. It actually amps them up. So why would a mother on a Sunday of all days, not the Saturday before, so he had all day Sunday to adjust his time, why would she do this overstimulating? Now, mind you, she's had this boy for a long time. She knows that this boy has sleep issues. She knows that there's overstimulation that can trigger those sleep issues. And why she would do this on a Sunday is beyond me. She took him out for all these things on a Sunday. And granted, it was through the beginning of the day. Like, you know, some people ask, like, why did she say, fun fact, I made breakfast, as if she didn't normally make breakfast for him. So, and then why would he be bragging about this breakfast? It just, you know, but again, they say that he has a 15-year-old body and his intellect is much younger. So it might be one of those things where he wanted to talk to his family and friends and they got on. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it seems like he had a lot of contact with family this specific day and a lot of activity this specific day. And it doesn't seem like it bodes with their normal weekend from my understanding, which is, again, a lot of stuff that happened this weekend wasn't normal and customary to their behaviors of other previous weekends. So we have all of these things kind of going on the day before that people noticed. And it was a little, you know, it didn't make sense because we're hearing that the math ain't mathing, you know. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. Both of these parents talk about how Sebastian has all of these issues, okay? For example, let's go through the list that they have provided to us. They provided to us that he's not a runner, that he always puts his shoes on, he doesn't like being dirty, he doesn't like bugs, he loves to swim but doesn't like to swim in murky water or dirty water such as ponds, lakes, or streams, but doesn't mind going to pools. We also learned that all these issues he didn't really have as a young kid. He developed them with different experiences. For example, the reason why he always puts his shoes on is because he had this event where he stepped in an ant pile and they bit his feet up. So from that point on, he always religiously, no matter what, always put his shoes and socks on before leaving the house. And when we had an opportunity to speak with his father, which again is the only contact that we've had, we've offered conversations to both Katie and Chris, as well as Kathy and Terry Bowersox, but they would rather stalk me instead of talk to me. And, you know, we can't get any information from them. They refuse to answer any information. They refuse to be cooperative. They just want to blame social media for their situation. But we didn't disappear their child. You know, at the end of the day, that is the reality of it. We're in here trying to help find out what happened, and who we came here to help aren't cooperating and are very shady and have constantly changed their story, which is a huge red flag for those that are in law enforcement and for those that cover true crime. Changing one story over and over again and manipulating times to fit this window that they have to fill for law enforcement is very noticeable. And when we called them out with true facts, they shut down. They realized, oh crap, right? Now it's time to insult the people that are out here bringing light to their issues. So now they're not even arguing facts. They're just hurling insults at this point, which, as you guys know, my feelings when people have to go to insults, they have to debate the people instead of the issues, they've already lost. They've already lost the argument. So that means that we are on the right track when they start throwing insults and degrading comments our way. We know we're on the right track because normal people would just put out receipts and proof instead of insults. And they're not. They're not. They have the ability to prove all of this themselves. Chris could come out tomorrow and say exactly where he was that weekend, and he still, 5 months later, has chosen not to do that. There is a reason for that. Katie doesn't mind telling you where she was. Seth doesn't mind telling you where he was. But Chris seems like to be the only person, and mind you, he was the furthest one away from this home at the time this child disappeared, and he's the one being so secretive about his timeline and about where he was, because if he states it for the record, he has no maneuvering capabilities for himself. We also learned throughout this process, every time Chris and Katie came online or decided to speak to media, we learned it was not really to advocate for Sebastian, because they very rarely said his name in any of these interviews. It was more about them and what they're going through and how they're being unfairly targeted and how it's them. The whole ad, pour me, another, glass, right? Hey, Copper, it's nice to see you, my love. So where do we go from here? Well, we definitely hope that the parents were working to find their son. But when every time you turned around, they all left. Every one of them left. Katie left with Chris to go to Mississippi. Kathy left with Terry to go to Alaska, then Puerto Rico. This boy, according to all four of these people, just simply walked out the door. So why would anybody leave a home where a child ran away, knowing that children, when they run away, typically come back home at some point? So why 2 weeks later would you pack up everything and drive off? That does not make sense to the normal people. And then when you strip everything away, you realize all of their alibis are no alibis. They have no alibis. All four of these people, you know what their alibi is? Anybody have a guess? I'll wait. I'm a patient woman here on these streets. He didn't run away. But what do you think their alibi is? Every last one of them has the same alibi. Nope, not each other. Not each other. Nope. They were all asleep. How convenient. Sheila got it. Sheila got it. They were all asleep. Even Chris was sitting here advocating for his wife. Oh, she was falling asleep on the phone with me. She says she fell asleep. On Dutch's interview, Dutch's reiterates everything that they had talked about previously. And she said, you went to sleep on the couch at 10. However, Sebastian went to bed at 9 p.m. And you woke up a little later and were in bed by midnight. And Katie's like, yes, midnight. There was like 3 or 4 like back-to-back midnights. And then Chris pipes in and says, well, just to make it crystal clear and for full transparency, we had an extensive conversation at 9:43 or 9:46 at night, and we were on the phone, and it's been corroborated by all the police departments, including TBI, and has been verified and logged. Just because it's been verified and logged doesn't mean that you're in that it doesn't mean something, dude. And we're like, okay, so she got on the phone with you at 9:43, yet she fell asleep on the couch at 10. And then you say she slightly was falling asleep right after that. And then you woke her up. Who stays on the phone with somebody falling asleep for 2 solid hours? And why would she call her husband at 9:43 or 9:46 and then 14 minutes later be snoring? And then he wakes her up, has her put the dogs away, which he made a fatal flaw there because he was relaxed when he was on another content creators, and all of a sudden the dogs sleep in the bed with her when he's not there. Then why didn't you tell her to put them up when you knew that they slept with her? Why didn't you just tell her to take the dogs and go to bed? And why didn't she correct you when you said that. No, she went right along with it. Oh, yeah, I put the dogs in their kennel and I went to bed. Why did the dogs need to go in the kennel that night? That was a strange phenomenon because they never went into the kennel when Chris wasn't home. Only Me says, I'm sorry, as a mom, even when I went to bed, I'd always check on them to make sure they were okay. I'm 44 years old, and if I slept with my mom would pop her head in the room. I'm just saying. I'm an adult here, and my mom would still pop her head in the room. You know? If they did forensic, would they be able to pick up? Yeah, I think so. I think so, because you'll have a lot of bodily fluids. A lot more bodily fluids than you need. And it'd be in a concentrated area too, because as soon as he was gone, he would lose those muscles and that would all kind of come out. Now, people say that it's possible, you know, that he had a diaper on him at the time, but the kind of fluid that's in his body would seep out of that diaper. It would be a mess, in my opinion. There should be a pretty good mess if that were the case. That's why it's so important for the forensics, because let's face it, a lot of people are looking at all of them. I'm looking at them. They're the only ones that make sense in this story, okay? Whether this child was unalived or put somewhere. They're the only ones that make sense with this whole scenario, okay? There's no outside influence. There's no third party. They locked down the phones. You know, he didn't have somebody stalking him. There's no other people to look at when it comes to this. And of course, there's, you know, the RSOs in the area. From my understanding, law enforcement has questioned all of them, and they have been cleared. It's kind of funny that the RSOs have been cleared from any wrongdoing in this case, but these parents, all of these parents, have not. I think the only reason why they're failing to clear Seth at this point is because it'll put the attention square on Chris and Katie, and I think they don't want the drama that comes with clearing Seth. I don't think that there's any requirement or law that requires them to clear a cleared parent. And that's something that I think we are going to have to push if they're going to keep, you know, abusing these parents, you know, law enforcement. And it's not, and again, it is not the fault. I want to make sure that this is ultra, super clear to you guys. When I talk about law enforcement and I talk about my frustration with law enforcement, I'm not talking about the beat cops. I'm not talking about the detectives. I'm talking about top brass. The ones that give the instructions, the ones that give them orders, those are the people that are making the decisions. I'm talking about decision makers, okay? Beat cops are not decision makers. They have orders to follow, and they are required to follow the order, and there is a chain of command, okay? I'm going up the chain of command, and I'm going to top brass, because top brass is the one controlling this case. It's top brass that is ultimately responsible. And so I'm very frustrated with the DA. I'm very frustrated with law enforcement when it comes to this case, because there should be some type of forensics done in this case. We don't assess a case and decide to do forensics because we think there may be forensics there, or we think there may not be forensics there. Forensics are done to rule out information and to obtain critical microscopic evidence that you need to get at certain times, or some of that evidence goes bye-bye. We know Katie has cleaned her house professionally, so we can absolutely ascertain that some of that evidence, or most of that microscopic biological evidence, has been removed permanently from the home. How thorough was the investigation into Kathy and Terry Bowersox, and for that matter, into Seth, right? And what do I mean by that? I mean, when we look at these cases, we know for a fact, because of Miss Bobby, and that's for one community, and one community, no, he has not been found. And they pulled camera footage. But did they bother pulling camera footage in the Bowersox community early on in this investigation? If not, guess what? They lost critical evidence, because that critical evidence most likely has been recorded over, if there are now just now getting out there to look at footage. Seth, we know that the law enforcement and TBI went into his house and searched his home and tore Sebastian's room apart. But one thing I didn't hear is them ask for any video footage in Seth's community. They didn't ask for it. So if they didn't ask for it in Seth's community, would they have asked for it in the Bowersox community? Again, I feel like many law enforcement agents want to put their community at ease and want to make sure that their community, even if they can't relay information, they just put press conferences on just to let their community know that they have not forgotten about this child and they're still working this case. But here we do not have that with law enforcement. Law enforcement has ghosted their entire community, still has not found this child, still has not made an arrest, and it is looking like, because this is in Tennessee and we know they will not charge anybody with a nobody crime without an admission. And we know that Chris and Katie are so manipulative, they would never admit. They would rather lose their life than to admit what they did. I'm serious. And what do I mean by that? You know, somebody put up, you know what I'm saying. I can't say these things on here, so with a pew-pew to their head, right? They would not admit it, even with that extreme measure, because that's just who they are. They will never admit what has happened. I believe there's a lot of circumstantial evidence in this case that points in the direction of Chris and Katie Proudfoot having something to do with the disappearance of their son. And I believe that there's enough information here circumstantially that kind of puts Kathy and Terry, one or both, in the area at the time, early morning hours of February 26th. Moreover, I trust the community that knows who Kathy Bowersox is, because she's a realtor there. She's associated with second generation homes. One of the builders of the communities that she even resides in, just over on Hutch. She had several houses for sale over on Hutch. And the crazy thing is near the Hutch property where they thought that they found these glasses, they have a house exploded. And they said it was intentional. They believed that it was intentional. Let me read this article, if I can find it. Here it is.
Thanks to the News 2 breaking news alert.
4 weeks ago.
Breaking news tonight, the TBI has just confirmed a home explosion that shook Gallatin this morning appears to be intentional. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Haley Milkus. The blast left a woman seriously injured. News 2's Sam Clementi was out at the scene and has more on the TBI and ATF's investigation.
Debris scattered everywhere along this residential neighborhood in South Gallatin following an early morning house explosion that left one woman, the resident of the home off Chafin Court, in serious but stable condition. Crews, as you can see, are still out here on Friday afternoon investigating, although the exact cause of the explosion is not expected to be revealed until Saturday at the earliest. Multiple Sumner County emergency response crews converged on a home that suddenly exploded in South Gallatin early Friday morning. The resident of the home was taken to the hospital with second-degree burns, according to Gallatin's fire chief. Nobody else was injured. One neighbor says he and two others were responsible for pulling the woman from the explosion.
So we heard the big boom, and after we heard it, I went running down on my bicycle, and then I seen the lady sitting there, and so, well, she got burned and stuff, and it started flaming out and stuff, so we pulled her out. I'm hoping she'll be all right and okay.
Response crews were going door to door, speaking with residents in hopes of determining the exact scope and radius of the damage, according to Gallatin Fire Chief Jeff Beeman. Tennessee's Bureau of Investigation and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms were both called in to assist, according to Beeman. TBI is now leading the investigation. The Bureau says they now believe the explosion was intentional. Reporting in Gallatin, Sam Clementi, News 2.
So this happened, and of course, naturally, we all thought this could be associated with whatever happened because, let's face it, this was right near, this was off of Chafin, let me see, let me look at the maps. Chafin Court, Gallatin. Did they say Chafin Court or Chafin Lane? Let me go back and listen to that. I think they said Chafin. Did they say Chafin Court or Chafin Lane? Give me a second. I'll find out. It was on... They didn't put it in this article. Let me go back. I'll find it. Chafin Court. Okay, Chafin Court. So let me go to the map now. Map. Chafin Court. And then we have Hutch. So we'll do directions and we'll say Hutch. Because I'm pretty sure they found the glasses. Oh, it's a little further than I thought. But as this walking or bus, so 7 minutes away, right around the corner from there is Hutch and the explosion. It's still in the same community. It's still in the same community. And people were very concerned about that. Now, I personally, when I heard that, I thought the lady was targeted. I don't think it had really anything to do with this. But it does kind of give you a little shock to the system to think that Gallatin is such a wild, wild west that people's houses can just explode. Did they say not his glasses? Yeah, they did say they were not his glasses. But they also told us that the lights on the outside of the house was a garbage truck. However, the garbage truck didn't come in until 2 hours after those lights on the outside of the house. So it causes, you know, I have problems. You know, I don't want to say that but we know law enforcement was deceptive to us once. They wouldn't be deceptive to us on the record. So when Nick Barris, whose house, I don't know whose house it was. I don't know whose house it was. I just know that people started letting me know that there was a house very close to where this boy, where what they thought was this boy's glasses. And this is after the fact when everybody knew that they were deemed not his glasses. But again, Seth saw those glasses and he thought they looked enough like his son's glasses that he bagged and tagged them. And then shortly after that, like a week or two later, a house explodes. I mean, think about this, guys. I want you guys to put this in your minds. We've got fires going off in the garbage landfill that they didn't search, that everybody said they should have been searching, which just happens to be next to second generation construction, which is associated with the Bauer Sox. Kathy works for them. And then we have near the place which is not too far from, let me see how far this is from Kathy's house. 155, Enoch. Enoch, and this is on Chafin Court. Look at that. 7 minutes away. 7 minutes away. So it's 7 minutes away from Hutch, 7 minutes away from Kathy Bauer Sox. So this is, you know, could be something. But we have landfill fires. We've got houses exploding. Like, this to me, for this little place called Gallatin, Tennessee, it sounds like the wild, wild west there. Glasses, pants, rocks, sign. I think they're planted. Now hearing about the house, wow. There's something going on in Gallatin. Like I live in Manatee County. Like I don't even hear this in urban, you know. I mean, this seems awfully crazy to me for one community. How big is Gallatin? What is the population size of Gallatin, Tennessee? As of July 2023, their population is only 50,355. And we got fires at their landfill and explosions in houses. We got some problems. Just saying. We got some problems. I wonder who the builder of that house was that exploded. Sorry, it always goes in my head. It always comes. I don't like things. So we have these things, but there are alibis here related to what happened. All of them sleeping. Sleeping. They didn't do nothing. They know nothing. They were all sleeping. They were all... right? That's what they say they were all doing. Yet, there was lights coming out of the Proudfoot home in the early morning hours of the 26th, and it appears to be an SUV consistent with Kathy Bowersock's seen in a video. But hey, they were all sleeping. So I guess these are all, you know, dreams that were transported onto film. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's just bad timing. Luck of the draw, right? Kathy Bowersock states that nobody saw her leave, right? That she has proof that on her cameras in her driveway, which I never seen any cameras in her driveway, just clarification, and neighboring cameras, confirm that there is no way she left her home. And her car could not have possibly been seen in the area where Sebastian disappeared. Well, I disagree. So this right here is the Bowersock's residence, okay? And as you see, there's a house right here and a house over here. So they have these, this is the only information right here. Now, coming down this road, it's a long road. They're all the way down at the end. And as you can see, there's like a little bit of debris right here. And it looks like shrubbery right here. Well, I can tell you that shrubbery's not there. And I can tell you the majority of this stuff here is not there. Is some of it there? Yes, it is. But do you see this beautiful strip right there, right? This beautiful strip. Those are for the power lines. They have this area that is for the power lines. Well, this area drives all the way back to another road. Did you know that? So Bullhorn Betty's planning on, as long as it's not going to be an arrestable offense, I'm going to be getting a ticket. So I plan on driving this back and seeing how if I get stuck, you know, whatever it may be. Like I said, I may get a ticket. I'm going to call law enforcement and, you know, find out what they're going to do to me when I do this, you know, and see if it's worth the cost that I'm going to have to pay. You know, I want to make sure it's all above board. If they're going to give me a ticket, I'm just going to say, can you just write me the ticket now? Because I got to write it, you know, walk it instead. Yeah, that might be, you know what, that might be an option. That might be an option. But I'm a little concerned leaving my car anywhere in this community unattended, you know, to be honest with you. It just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we will. I'm not sure yet. I'm really not. So, long story short, but you see this patch right here. This is where, and you guys heard me talk about the power lines. This is what I'm going to call Power Line Road. Okay, I'm going to give it its own name. This is going to be the Power Line Road. So whenever you hear me refer to Power Line Road, this is what I'm talking about right there. What's there? Well, nothing's there. But where it goes to another road right here. There's another road that goes this way, right? So somebody could leave here, drive straight, and get on a road and proceed out. Kind of like what they did at the construction site, right? They drove through a patch that they weren't supposed to drive through. Dogs hit on a retaining pond and a dumpster. And nobody knows what happened to the vehicle after that. They see it go down Kellen Lane. They obviously proceeded through that area. Did they wash their boots off? Did they dump some cleaning supplies? Honestly, I don't know. We're not going to know. Law enforcement won't tell us what they have, which is a good thing. And I would think that all this, you know, keeping away is a good thing, as long as we have progress. But law enforcement won't even give us a a statement saying that they haven't forgotten about Sebastian. I feel like Sebastian's case is in a filing cabinet somewhere. You know, I feel that way. Do I really believe that? No, I don't. I talked to the major. I know they're taking this case seriously. Okay? So it's one of those things. But as you see these woods right here, I thought this was a prime place. I have been assured by Seth and by Tony that this has all been searched. Now, I don't know if this all over here has been searched or not. This is another area, because these roads go back and there's another access to this area over here from this community. The reason why I'm focusing on this community is a few reasons. Chris Proudfoot went back to get his camper, okay? And he was gone 17 hours. Well, it just so happens to coincide when Kathy and Terry Bowersox left for Alaska. So they had a wide open home that nobody would be at, and it seems like a perfect cover for somebody that needs some time to take care of something, you know? And not only that, he didn't have to worry about anybody watching him, right? Because there's nothing but woods behind the house, giving him much of the needed privacy and security to do something. So that is my biggest concern. Were they, and I was told they were back there with a boat. They were back there with scent dogs. I don't know if they were back there with cadaver dogs. And I have been assured that this area has been thoroughly searched. And I'd like to believe that it's been thoroughly searched. But I'm wondering if they allowed searchers to go on it once, would they allow another set of searchers to go on it just to double check? I don't know. I have to reach out to the county or whoever owns this stretch of land. So that's where we're at when it comes to this. And again, coming back to the fun fact of Katie making breakfast that morning, that Sunday morning for Sebastian. Was that normal? Is there water back there? Believe it or not, Chrissy, I didn't know that either, but Seth told me that there is a body of water back there that has been searched. So, and it was searched by boat, so it's got to be a pretty large enough to put a boat in. So, they did get that. What else did I have? Oh yeah, this is the explosion part of it. And again, I don't know if it has any connection to this case. I'm just saying that for a small community of 50,000 people, they sure have some pretty, like, mafia type of things going on in their community. Just saying. Just saying. I don't know what's going on in the case. I really don't. I don't know why we have things in Gallatin constantly catching on fire, you know, or exploding. To me, I haven't experienced a case like this. I will absolutely tell you guys know I've covered a lot of cases. I've been boots on the ground with a lot of cases. Summer Wells' case was crazy, but it wasn't like this. This feels like a little bit crazier. This feels mafia-like. It does. Cartel-like. This community. Not Hendersonville. Because all of this, from my understanding, happened in Gallatin. Okay? Gallatin is where Kathy and Terry reside. So I think it's a little bizarre for me. It's just a little bizarre. This is really where we're at in this case. Seth is out there searching. We got one idiot content creator that likes to throw his own parents in jail, talking about how he doesn't believe doesn't believe Seth and Tony are out there working. I can assure everybody on this platform, they are out there in a boat on ponds and lakes and other waterways doing a recovery search that Seth, praise to God, does not bear fruit. But they're still doing it. And they've got pretty good sonar out there that's working it. They are being very private with their locations. I don't even know their locations. I've given them some suggestions of potential areas to search, but I don't even know where they're at. So it is for the safety of their searchers and for the safety of themselves while they conduct this. There has been a lot of stuff that goes on in that community. Again, sounds pretty mafia and cartel-like so far, doesn't it? And then you couple that with threats coming from Chris, and people being stalked by this man right here, Terry Bowersocks. I know for a fact because that's what happened to me. So I can understand why they're keeping this ultra secretive. And then we have some more issues coming along with people saying, oh, this is fake. This is, I'm so sick of it. You're sitting in Florida with your thumb up your ass, lying to everybody every chance you get. You lied to me for a year. Who believes anything coming out of your mouth at this point? You're entertainment. That's it. You're not even newsworthy. And the creator knows who I'm talking about because he's a 3-time felon and his parents went to jail because of him. So I'm not getting my news from this creator, okay? He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a chip on his shoulder over Seth because Seth hurt his feelings. I can assure you that bozo has no knowledge of what's going on, boots on the ground. And I can assure you that that this father came slap up off a surgery table and is back out there searching for his son. Even when these people here can hunt down people that are searching, but can't go out there and search for this boy right here. It is a problem. No, I have a problem with felons that lie to people. I own mine. I'm not a felon. I've been arrested before. I've been arrested many times, but I've only been convicted of 2 charges. Well, 3, if you count the violation of probation. And that was over 20 years ago. So no. I don't, what I have a problem with is people that have pasts and want to focus on other people's past. That's what I have a problem with. Because you know what? You've been given a second chance. Why do you constantly bring up somebody else's past, putting your foot on their neck when you've been provided? That's what I have a problem with. I think that you should too, right? I have no problem with felons. As a matter of fact, like I told Tony, most of the people I work with have been convicted of something or something before, right? They're not perfect people. You know why I choose to work with the people that have redeemed themselves and got their life together? Because they have to work 1,000 times harder than anyone with a clean record. And those are the people. Because you know what? Because of my past, I've had to work 1,000,000 times harder than somebody sitting next to me that's squeaky clean. So when I have an opportunity to find a redeemed or recovered somebody, you bet your butt I'm working with them. Why? Because they have to work 1,000 times harder than anybody else. So no, I don't have problems with people with felonies. I have problems with people that are felons that refuse to be reformed and commit other crimes. But if that's not the case, then no, I welcome all the people that have past, all the people that have problems, all the people that want to do good in this world. At the end of the day, none of us are perfect. And we all have skeletons in our closet. And those that want to sit there and act like they don't probably have the biggest skeletons in theirs. So that's the real. That's the real. But I just have to point that out because there's so many people that listen to this guy, and he's just bad news, and they don't realize he's just bad news. I mean, what man allows his parents to go to jail for years for his crimes? What a piece of shit. Sorry, not sorry. But hey, get your news from him. The one that says he doesn't think they're out there. What boat? What boat? Well, I thought you were an investigative journalist. So wouldn't you know where the boat came from? If you're so good at your job? Just saying. I know where the boat is. I know whose boat it is. I know what kind of sonar on there. You got it right, Noodles. But an investigative journalist that says he's so good The same one that passed around bunk information about Tony and didn't even try to manipulate the paperwork to change it from a 40-year-old black man to a 50-something white man. He's a narcissistic manipulator. He's not an opportunist. He's just a sick, twisted individual, a 3-time felon that does horrible things to people. And people want to think this man is redeemed. I can tell you, after what he put me through and what he did to me, he is not redeemed. He is the devil in sheep's clothing. He is. Any updates on Sebastian? They're searching for him. The only people searching for him is his dad. But they're searching. They're out there now. I hope that they find at least something. Maybe some clothing. Maybe something that can help find out where not his dad's team. Yeah, not only his dad. No, he's out there with people. He's out there with people. He's not manning a boat. No. He's got a person's boat, and they've got great sonar on it, and they're going out and looking. And again, you know, like I said, for an investigative journalist, he surely gets a lot of stuff wrong, including passing around bunk information about a spokesperson that was a complete lie. But I digress. Hopefully he just stays out of this case. His opinions, his stuff is not welcomed because he's got a chip on his shoulder. And nothing he'll ever say is going to be accurate when it comes to this case. Why? Because he got a chip on his shoulder. So, you know, I just wish he would just stay out of this case. He's got so many other cases to cover. He just needs to leave this family alone. He has done enough damage to this family. He's done enough damage to this case. And yes, he has done damage to this case with his anonymous postings. His anonymous postings has caused law enforcement to have to stop what they're doing to investigate those anonymous postings. So he's absolutely damaging this case. And hopefully he just moves his butt on. Him and his ugly-ass girlfriend can just go on with their life. And by the way, boo-boo, you're the way I'm looking at it, by the end of this year, you guys are going to start having major problems if you aren't already having major problems. He ain't loyal to nobody. I know you think he is, but you got him already up to his 200,000. You're not helping his numbers grow much more. So you're gonna be out the door sooner than you think, honey, unless you can start producing. Trust me. You ain't nothing but a number to him. Trust me, he's got about 20 more behind you. Willing to do the work, right? You ain't producing his numbers. He needs his numbers up, right? 'Cause that's all he gives a shit about. He don't care about you, boo-boo. So once you start getting his numbers up and you can't keep his numbers up, you got 1 foot out the door, Magnolia. You got 1 foot out the door. Trust me. I would think by the end of this year or the middle of next year, you guys are going to start having some serious problems, and he's going to start disappearing on you. Watch and mark my word. And that means he's already got another person. Remember, you were there for a year before I knew it. Just saying. Just saying. If he can do it to me. If he can do it to me. So, so long story short, all of his commentary has been completely jaded, biased, and a lie. So it sounds like he does good on other cases, just not this one. So let's just ask him kindly just to stay out of it. And I can go on about my life and not having this ball and chain drag me down any further than he's dragged me down already. But that's my thing. But just remember, this man put his own parents in jail. Okay? He didn't sue his mama. They went to jail for him. They didn't get out until 2003. Now, that doesn't make you sick about this man. I don't know what will. You guys are drinking too much of his Kool-Aid. Just saying. Just saying. All right, now that I, kicked that ball down the court, let me go ahead and drop this mic real quick. And exit stage right? Exit stage right. So if you guys don't believe me, you guys can look it all up yourself because it's all part of public record. It's all part of public record. And, yeah, it is drama. But it's drama he keeps bringing to it. Everything was just going fine until he had to go in there and say, oh, well, we don't know. I bet you it was just a PR stunt. You are a flippin' PR stunt, sir. For that crap he did with the financial crimes and stuff like that. Apparently he did it in their house or something. Both of his parents had to go to jail. He's an asshole. And he cares about nobody, not even his own mom and dad. What a great guy. Let's go get the news from him. Let's go get the news from him. Those of us who are local have not stopped looking for Sebastian, and I work maps daily. I've heard. I think they even brought your name up, astrology, in it, and I think you've been doing great work. Thank you for that. I know that there are good-hearted people out there that are working, and I make sure I say that the few that are. Whenever I say the few that are, that's what I'm referring to, the few that are. There are a few people out there in that community that really care about this child, that have not stopped looking, that have been talking about him, keeping his name out there in the airspace and making sure that people know who he is and that he is missing. And God bless every single person that resides in that area that is able to do that. God bless you all, because you're doing more than his own mother and stepfather are willing to do. So, I mean, literally, I'm not slow clapping either. I mean, seriously, you guys deserve a pat on the back and a God bless you and everything else. You know, Tony Mathis is on the ground today. So this again, this investigative journalist surely ain't proven he's an investigative journalist, because you would think that an investigative journalist would know this information or wouldn't open their mouth until they have it. It seems awfully funny that this guy keeps peddling out bunk information about one case and one case only. It's just irritating. It's irritating, and I'm over it. So, you know, he got a letter today. Well, text messages today. Bunch of them. Telling him what a blech he is. I even threw something else out there that I'm not going to tell you guys about because it'll make everybody go crazy. But you know I will. You know I will. Anyways, I will see you guys soon. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. I can assure you that there are searches going on right now for Sebastian Rogers, and I can guarantee the person behind those search is not law enforcement, definitely not the Bowersocks, definitely not the Proudfoots. It's Seth Rogers and his team. And we need to be praying for them. We need to pray that they find something that will help locate Sebastian Rogers. That's what we need to be praying for. I pray that he does not find Sebastian where he's looking. Okay? But I do pray that he finds something that leads to the whereabouts of his son. His healthy son. That's what I hope. I pray to God that I'm wrong. Okay. I'll show you. She's sleeping. She hates it when I wake her up, but she's up and down all day. She'll be okay. She'll go back to sleep. I know somebody was asking where she is. There she is. There's the cutie pie right there. There's the Cutie Patootie. Maybe we can get her to do Gene Simmons. There's her Gene Simmons. You guys see that? Her tongue's so stinking long. When she puts her tongue out, it's so long. Look at that. Look, Gene Simmons. Tell me she doesn't have Gene Simmons' tongue. Is Gene Simmons your daddy? You kind of look like him. She says, I love my mommy. She gave me a bath the other day and I did not. Look at that tongue. Look at that tongue. Your tongue is so long, honey bunny. Tongue's so long. See that? Look at that. She's so tiny. Nobody understands how tiny this child is. This dog is. She is my kid. This dog is. But look at my hand. Look at my hand. I don't have big hands. Okay, I'm a female. She tiny little thing. Her head's like the palm of my hand. Look at that. Look at that. She loves being the star of the. Her tongue cracks me up. And she's going to yawn and keep yawning. Okay, you can go back to sleep. You can go back to sleep. They just wanted to say hi. They wanted to see you do Gene Simmons. How old is she? I got to find her birthday. She's definitely over 2 months. She's definitely over 2 months, but I don't know what her actual birth date is. I forgot to ask Laura. So I will ask Laura what her birth date is, and I'll let you guys know. And then we'll know exactly how old she is. She's a Chihuahua. She's a beautiful little Chihuahua pup. I would say she looks like her mommy, but she doesn't, because I'm much prettier. I'm just joking. I just wanted to give the hate channel something to clip. So anyways, you guys have been great this morning. I hope you guys have gotten some information. We're just going to start going down this road. And, oh, thank you, Justin. Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And we're going to start looking in the Bower socks. There's something here. And now that Kathy is pulling the same stunt that Chris did when he was starting to feel the pressure, I feel like we're onto something here. I really do. I do not believe what she's saying. I do not believe she can prove to me or law enforcement that her car did not move. The only way that they're going to be able to prove that, I think, is going to be the records from their vehicle. And according to what I read, and maybe I should read this, guys, to you, because this is super important. I read it on my live yesterday, and it's about the system in the black box, right? The black box in the car. And let me find it. If I still have it, it might be up a little further. And what I found out is under the Fourth Amendment, of the Constitution, there's a way for them to get around a search warrant for a vehicle, and they can download the black box information, but only 5 different companies, 5 different auto manufacturers actually require the warrant. And that's Honda, GM, Tesla, Stellaris or something, and they said that's Chrysler. And there's one other one that I can't think off the top of my head that requires the search warrant. None of those were in the Infiniti brand. So unless the Infiniti line is from one of these 5 companies, they don't even need a search warrant to obtain the black box information to law enforcement. So they can do that on Katie's vehicle as well as Kathy Bowersock's vehicle. Now, with Chris's truck, they're going to have to get a warrant because I'm pretty sure he's GM. Infiniti is made by Toyota. Okay, thank you, the Pits. Toyota, I don't think, was on that list. It might have been. I want to find that list. Hold on. Law, here it is. Nope, that's not it. I just read it last night. Give me just a second. Stuff I found. Interesting. Craddock. You know what? I'm probably not going to find it. I can't remember what it is, but it was somebody that wrote, I can't remember who wrote it. Who wrote it? I can't remember who I read it from. Oh, and I just wanted to make a comment. There's another content creator that thinks that I'm like this crime time like person on this one channel. I have 6 channels on. I got 3 channels on TikTok, 3 channels on YouTube. None of them are crime time. As a matter of fact, I was reached out to by a lady with an email from Crime Time, and she does not like me. And I can prove that, and it comes from a Crime Time email. So I don't know if the lady sounds like me or what. It's Nissan, Betty. It's Nissan. Okay, thank you. Is that the other one, that the 5th one I'm not thinking of? I can't remember who it was. There were 5 automakers that require the warrant. But according to the 4th, there's an exception in the 4th related to the cars. I feel they may have rented. They wouldn't have had time. they wouldn't have had time to rent a vehicle. I don't think this was premeditated. And the reason why, there's several things the reason why I don't think this is premeditated. Oops. And I know many people do. One of them, and I say this a lot. One is the shoes. The shoes being there, I think, is the fatal flaw. But two is the fact that Katie, she may have just made the decision to do it. But I think she may have made the decision to do it by herself, if that's the case. But it's the 3-hour conversation with Chris that has me, because I feel like if this was premeditated between the two of them, they would have already had all this stuff taken care of, and she would have had a different alibi than a 3-hour phone call conversation with Chris. So that's what's leading me to kind of believe that this was spontaneous, that whatever happened had something to do with possibly him not going to bed, or maybe him having a meltdown for having an overstimulating day and Katie losing it for some whatever reason. Or maybe, like I said, she could have herself preempted this, knowing that she did not want her son to go live with Seth. She hates Seth. She wants to hurt Seth every chance she gets. Seth even talked about when her and Chris were together that he was kind of the buffer, and he actually kind of enjoyed him being the buffer where he could communicate with Chris and not have all the crap that came with Katie. And, you know, so there are some things there. Now, what could she have decided that she's going to take her son out for this amazing day just to, you know, Seth ain't getting her son? It's possible. It's possible. They said she was in a call with Chris, studying and watching. Yeah. There's no way they're studying, that she's falling asleep, that, you know, that she's snoring in the phone, and who can watch TV, study for a class that she's studying for, and hold on a conversation while falling asleep on the couch? Those things don't even the story doesn't even remotely make sense to a normal person. I don't know. It sounds like she first said she was studying, and then they're like, well, what's this conversation? Well, I was studying and talking to my husband. And it was like, well, you guys talked for 3 hours? Well, I kind of fell asleep on the phone. You know, so I think it was one of those things that they kept questioning her, and she kept having to change her answer. And the next thing you know, now she's studying on the phone, falling asleep, and watching TV all at the same time, which doesn't make sense. That's kind of what, and read a chapter in a book. Yeah, it just doesn't, under the influence on top of that. We don't know for a fact whether she had a drink. Maybe somebody does, whether she had alcoholic beverages, but I heard that she is a heavy drinker. So even if she didn't have a drink at the steakhouse, would it be reasonable to think that she would pour her a nightcap that night? And I would have to think if she's drinking the way we've heard, then that would be a good possibility. That would be a good possibility. And I think that's it. And this is just the last thing I want to show everybody here on TikTok, is how happy and amazing Katie is and how she's holding this little girl. I've never seen a picture of her hugging her son like this. I've never seen a picture of her having that big of a smile on her face when she's been around her own son. But this is another woman's daughter that she is so pink to have. And it literally, it's very bothersome for me. Very, very bothersome for me how happy she is with another woman's child and never once thinking about her own son, which is what it's all about to begin with. Anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me know if you guys have any questions, or you have any perspective or theories that may help us in this case locate Sebastian Rogers, or find out about the individuals surrounding this young boy's life: Chris Proudfoot, Katie Proudfoot, Kathy Bowersox, and Terry Bowersox. We need to know who these people were that were around this young boy. All right, guys, take it easy. Don't forget, if you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be kind, but more importantly, please be safe, but more importantly, please be kind to one another. God bless. And if you guys would like to see this, or you came in a little late, in about 2 hours, you'll be able to see this live or on my YouTube channel at Bullhorn Betty. It's Bullhorn Betty, and that is on YouTube. It's my main channel with 30,000+ people. I've got 2 channels, one that's a little under 9,000 and one that's a little over 30,000. Sign up for both of those. I do different things on both of those. The crime story side is more of a relaxed setting, kind of like this, where we just talk. But I have the ability to use another screen to show you guys stuff and to watch videos and to have real conversations. So it's a lot different than being over here on TikTok. So anyways, guys, take care. God bless. Have a great Saturday. And hopefully I'll be back later tonight. I've got a mess of work ahead of me, as you guys know. And here we go. Take care.